Silence for a moment. Imagine that every excuse you keep, every complaint you repeat in your mind, and every fear you silently obey could be stripped away in a single instant. No more hiding, no more blaming, no more waiting. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. If a man who owned nothing, suffered pain, lived in chains, and still claimed he was free, stood in your place today, what would he do differently from you? This is not about history. This is not about admiration. This is about confrontation. Because Epictetus was not a king, not a general, not a rich teacher surrounded by luxury. He was a slave. He had no guarantee of safety. He had no backup plan. And yet, he spoke about inner freedom as if he possessed something the entire world was still desperately searching for. Here is the real question that matters. If Epictetus woke up inside your body today, with your problems, your phone, your debts, your relationships, your fears, your disappointments, what would he do in the first 5 minutes? Would he check notifications? Would he scroll in silence, comparing his life to others? Would he replay old conversations, old wounds, old humiliations? Or would he sit in calm stillness and remember a truth that most people forget every single day? You do not control what happens to you. You control how you respond. That single idea sounds simple, but simple does not mean easy. And easy is the last thing this philosophy ever promised. The crumbling of modern life did not happen loudly. It happened quietly, in small habits, in silent compromises, in the slow replacement of strength with comfort and clarity with distraction. We wake up and look for stimulation. We wait for permission. We blame circumstances, people, timing, fate. Epictetus didn't have that luxury. If he let the world control his inner state, he would have died broken. So he trained himself to make a brutal distinction: what is in my control and what is not. Everything begins there, and most suffering begins with confusing those two. Here is a curious truth most people never realize. Epictetus wouldn't try to fix your life first. He wouldn't argue with your past. He wouldn't chase your future. He would train your mind before touching anything else. Why? Because a weak mind can ruin a perfect situation, and a strong mind can survive a nightmare. Now imagine this. You are stuck in traffic. You are late. Your heart is fast. Your mind is loud. You feel trapped, angry, helpless. Epictetus in your place. He wouldn't negotiate with the traffic. He wouldn't beg reality to change. He wouldn't curse fate. He would see the moment for what it is, something outside his control. And that would make him strangely calm. That calmness is not weakness. It is power. Most people think power comes from bending the world. Stoicism teaches that power comes from refusing to be bent by it. And here is where this becomes deeply uncomfortable, because if Epictetus stood in your place today, many of the problems you think define your life would instantly shrink. Not because they changed, but because your relationship with them changed. That is the dangerous clarity of this philosophy. It doesn't give comfort, it gives responsibility. You are not a victim of feelings. You are not trapped by thoughts. You are not owned by circumstances. Those are habits, not truths. Now ask yourself this honestly. How much of your daily suffering comes from things you actually control, and how much comes from things you were never meant to control in the first place? If that question makes you uneasy, that's a good sign. It means something in you is waking up, and this leads to the deeper tension that most people avoid. If you truly lived by this idea, excuses would stop working, complaints would lose their shape, blame would become pointless, and the most frightening part, your misery would become your own responsibility. That is a terrifying form of freedom, but also the only real one. Epictetus would not tell you to become stronger overnight. He would not promise motivation. He would not sell you hope. He would give you discipline. And discipline, when practiced daily, quietly changes everything. At the end of this block, let this thought echo inside you. If freedom is not given by the world and peace is not found in comfort, what kind of person would you have to become to carry them inside yourself? If this way of thinking feels different from the noise you are used to, subscribe to the channel and stay with this journey, because what comes next will demand more from you than you expect. Most people wake up already tired, not because they did too much, but because their mind never truly rested. The moment consciousness returns, it is flooded with worry, comparison, tension, memories, and expectations. Now imagine Epictetus waking up inside your life, your body, your routine. He would not panic. He would not rush. He would not feel lost. He would immediately begin observing what enslaves you. Not your job, not your bank account, not your environment, but your attachment to things that were never meant to own your inner world. He would notice how quickly your mood changes based on the behavior of others, how easily your self-worth rises and falls according to comments, silence, approval, or rejection. And the quiet question would rise inside your mind. How much of your behavior is truly chosen, and how much is simply fear of being disliked, ignored, or abandoned? Epictetus understood something most people resist with their entire nervous system. No one has the power to hurt you without your agreement. Words become weapons only when you pick them up and stab yourself with them. Opinions become prisons only when you move inside them and lock the door from within. If someone disrespects you and you collapse, it is not because they were strong, but because you were dependent. This realization does not make you cold. It makes you sovereign. It gives you a position inside yourself that no outside voice can invade. If Epictetus lived your day, he would not chase happiness the way modern minds do. He would not believe that peace is found in comfort, that fulfillment lives inside pleasure, or that approval brings meaning. He would see that a life built on external validation is no life at all, but a beautifully decorated cage. Instead of pursuing excitement, he would purify your relationship with your own thoughts. Every anxious story the mind tells itself would be challenged. Every catastrophic imagination would be questioned. Every obsession with future disasters would be dissolved. He would show you that it is not life that overwhelms you, but your interpretation of life. Two people can experience the exact same loss and emerge completely different. One carries bitterness, the other carries wisdom. One becomes smaller, the other becomes stronger. The event did not decide their fate. Their inner discipline did. This is what Epictetus would awaken in you. Not the illusion that pain disappears, but the realization that pain does not have to dominate you. Failure, in his eyes, was never a humiliation. It was rehearsal. It was training. It was fire that forges instead of destroys. While modern minds see obstacles as unfair, he saw them as necessary. While most people demand ease, he understood that strength grows only through resistance. And here is the truth that disturbs the ego. You are not broken. You are simply untrained. And anything untrained can be strengthened through deliberate hardship and conscious effort. If his mind lived inside you, he would remove excess from your inner world. Less craving, less comparison. Less hunger for applause, less fear of being misunderstood. In that reduction, something miraculous begins to form. A silent kind of dignity, a calm that is not performance but presence, a stability that does not shake when the world shakes. And this kind of strength does not announce itself. It is silent, it is firm, it is untouchable. By the end of today, if Epictetus truly lived inside your decisions, your insecurities, and your moments of weakness, you would not become perfect. You would become independent, and independence is the beginning of peace. Let this final thought stay with you. If your emotional world depends on validation, recognition, and comfort, are you truly free, or simply well-behaved inside a cage that you never chose? If this way of thinking feels unfamiliar and awakens something inside you, subscribe to the channel and stay connected, because what comes next will demand even more honesty, clarity, and courage from within you. There is a silent moment in every human life when the truth tries to break through. It doesn't come as a dramatic event. It comes as a quiet discomfort, a subtle unease, a feeling that something is off, even when everything looks fine on the surface. Now imagine that instead of pushing that feeling away, Epictetus stepped forward inside your mind and refused to let you escape it. He would not soften it, he would deepen it. Because within that discomfort is the doorway to real strength. If he lived inside your choices today, he would expose the illusions you live by. The illusion that you deserve an easy life. The illusion that people should treat you a certain way. The illusion that your past owes you peace. Epictetus never believed the world was fair. He believed the world was neutral, and that it was your responsibility to become unbreakable within it. So what would he do when anxiety appears? He would not try to silence it with distractions. He would not cover it with noise or dopamine or pleasure. He would sit with it and examine it. He would ask one simple but terrifying question: is this within my control? And the moment the answer was no, he would release it without protest. Not because he didn't care, but because he refused to bleed his inner energy into what was never his to own. Modern life taught you that comfort is the highest goal. Epictetus taught that character is the highest goal. Comfort makes you soft. Character makes you steady. Comfort depends on conditions. Character survives without them. Now imagine a version of you that does not panic when plans collapse, that does not fall apart when expectations are crushed, that does not shrink when criticized, and does not explode when misunderstood. This is not a fantasy, this is training, this is discipline. This is what Epictetus would build inside you day by day. He would teach you that your body may feel pain, your reputation may be attacked, your plans may fail, your relationships may change, and your resources may disappear. But none of that touches your true power unless you allow it to. The only thing that can truly defeat you is the moment you betray your own values to escape discomfort. And this is where the tension deepens. Because Stoicism is not about becoming numb, it is about becoming honest. Honest about what controls you. Honest about what weakens you. Honest about where you still seek permission to be who you are. If you really followed what Epictetus would do in your place today, you would stop asking for easier circumstances and start asking for stronger character. You would stop praying for less pain and start training for more resilience. You would stop demanding fairness from the world and start demanding discipline from yourself. Most people spend their lives trying to control outcomes. Epictetus would teach you to control preparation. He would teach you that peace is not found in results, but in alignment with your own principles. Winning and losing are external. Integrity is internal. Now consider this. If every difficulty is an opportunity to train your mind, then nothing is wasted. Delays are lessons. Rejections are sharpening. Losses are purification. Pain is refinement. That thought alone changes how you see your entire life. Your problems stop being curses. They become tools. Your struggles stop being punishment. They become invitations. And suddenly a strange kind of gratitude begins to form. Not for comfort, but for challenge. Not for praise, but for growth. This is what happens when you stop consuming philosophy and start living it. Epictetus would not be impressed by your knowledge. He would only care about your discipline, how you react when tired, how you behave when no one sees, how you speak when you are hurt, how you act when you are afraid. That's the real test. And it leads to a dangerous realization most people run from. You are not overwhelmed because life is too hard. You are overwhelmed because you have not trained enough. And once you accept that, you become powerful. Because what can be trained can be transformed, and what can be transformed can no longer control you. Let this thought remain in your mind as this block ends. Are you ready to stop demanding an easier life and start building a stronger self? If this message is reshaping the way you see suffering, discipline, and control, subscribe to the channel and stay with us, because the final part will bring everything together in a way you will not forget. There comes a point where theory ends and confrontation begins. This is that point, because asking what Epictetus would do in your place is no longer a philosophical exercise. It becomes a mirror, and most people are not ready to stand in front of it for very long. A mirror shows you without excuses, without filters, without stories. It shows you where you have been weak, not because you were incapable, but because you avoided discomfort. It shows you where you could have been disciplined, but chose distraction. It shows you where you could have been brave, but chose comfort. If he were living your life today, he would not waste a single moment resenting the past. He would not romanticize pain, nor would he try to escape it. He would accept it as part of the structure of existence. A world without resistance creates soft minds. A world without pain creates fragile souls. A world without challenge creates humans who break at the first sign of pressure. He would understand something modern culture refuses to teach. Suffering is not an anomaly. It is a tool. Now imagine him inside your thoughts when you feel like quitting, when motivation dies, when energy feels distant, when discipline feels impossible. He would not scream encouragement at you. He would not whisper inspiration. He would calmly remind you that your feelings are not commands. They are weather. They pass, they shift, they change. But your character remains if you build it correctly. This is where the deepest transformation happens. Not when things are easy, not when you are excited, not when you are praised, but when you are tired, misunderstood, bored, restless, and tempted to abandon your own standards. That is the battlefield. And here is the question you can no longer avoid. What kind of person do you want to be when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is rewarding you for staying strong? Because this is where Epictetus lived mentally every single day. Not in public performance, not in external recognition, but in private discipline. He measured life not by what he gained, but by what he mastered within. If he took your place today, your biggest excuse would lose its power. Not because the situation changed, but because your interpretation changed. Your most used justification would sound empty. Your most repeated complaint would feel small. You would begin to understand that the world is not cruel to you personally. It is indifferent, and that indifference is the greatest gift because it means you are free to build yourself without needing permission. He would teach you that the goal is not to control the uncontrollable, but to master your response to it. Not to guarantee outcomes, but to guarantee integrity. Not to escape pain, but to outgrow it. Not to demand fairness, but to practice strength. At some point, a quiet realization would hit you with more force than any dramatic event. You have wasted energy on things that were never yours to carry. You have tried to manage storms instead of building shelter inside yourself. You have tried to fix people instead of disciplining your own reactions. You have tried to negotiate with reality instead of training your resilience. And yet this realization would not crush you. It would free you. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you cannot unsee it, you can begin again, this time stronger, clearer, and far more deliberate. This is the true message behind the question. Not what Epictetus would do, but what you will do now that you understand what strength actually looks like. You no longer need perfect conditions. You no longer need external validation. You no longer need guarantees. You no longer need approval. You need discipline. You need clarity. You need self-mastery. And that is built one choice at a time, in silence, without applause, without announcements. Now let this final thought stay with you longer than the rest. If you lived today as if a Stoic master were watching your every thought and decision, what would you stop doing immediately? And what would you finally start? If this journey of self-discipline, inner freedom, and mental strength spoke to something inside you, subscribe to the channel and stay connected, because more teachings like this are waiting for those who are ready to hear them.